right. Episode number 96. 96. Here we are and by the way, for those of you who listen to this, you're probably like, okay, enough with the intro stuff because I say the same things over and over again, but I have to tell you, I just did the transition of all the music and the recording and all that with no problem. So my rustiness is gone. So I'm back and ready to jump in to this in the ways that I used to. So welcome everyone to the 96th episode of the Trauma Informed Educators Network podcast. I am Matthew Portell. If you've listened to this for a while, you've heard my voice probably way more than you probably would like to. But nonetheless, I know you keep coming back because I have awesome people and we talk about awesome things that can impact you, your practice, those that you work with, and ultimately the world, which is why we do this. We want to truly be disruptors that unite around what we know to be the best practice, even when that means we're pushing against the paradigms of what we're told we're supposed to do versus what we know we should do. So today's episode, we're going to get into several things, but before we do, I want to remind you all, if you listen to this podcast regularly, do me a big favor, just go give us a review, right? And if you don't know how podcasting works, the more reviews you get, the faster it bumps the podcast up on platforms, the more access people have. And so it just helps, right, to get this message out. And today's guest and I were just talking, I don't get paid a nickel from this, so I don't do that for the money. I really am doing this because just like Ginger, my guest today, we are very passionate about this work and we've seen the impact and want to share that with the world. So if you haven't given a review, if you, even while you're listening here, just click that little review button, give me a little review, and let us know what you think about the podcast, because to be quite honest, I enjoy doing it so much that I don't think I would even worry if people are like, this is terrible. But I will tell you that looking today, 230,000 streams tells me that people do enjoy the guests that are on here. And that brings me to today's guest. And I will tell you, this guest has been on here several times, and every time I'm like, hey, you want to come back on? Because we have so much fun. So Ginger Healy is a clinical social worker. She has worked as a child abuse investigator, hospital social worker, social services supervisor at an international adoption agency, and school therapist. She's currently the director of programs for the Attachment and Trauma Network. She co-anchors the podcast Regulated and Relational and speaks nationwide on trauma-informed schools, therapeutic parenting, and community engagement. Ginger's the author of Regulation and Co-Regulation, right here in my hand, Accessible Neuroscience that Brings Calm into the Classroom. And her newest book is a companion book to the first called, oh wait, I just said your second one, didn't I?
Well,
did I mix that up?
They have practically the same title and practically the same cover, so it's all good.
Well, they're practically not the same book because they're two different books and they're partnered. So you need both of them. But the other is a workbook, right? That dives deeper into the practices and chapters. So, hey, you know what? We're just going to jump in. So Ginger, welcome. Tell us a little bit more about you if you want, and tell us about all the amazing things that you have working, not just the books, but also we're going to get into the Attachment and Trauma Network. Tell me the title. It just slipped.
Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference.
Creating Trauma Schools Conference. Tell us a little bit about all those things.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you. There is so much to tell you about and talk about that. Everybody pop your popcorn and get relaxed because we're going to be here all night. No, we'll stay on task. But I do want to start off talking about the annual Creating Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference hosted by the Attachment and Trauma Network. This is our 7th annual conference, and we just keep getting bigger and better every year. This year we have 2 conferences. So our first is our in-person conference in Dallas, Texas, starting February 18th. We do it over that holiday weekend because we want everyone to come, but it's for educators, and educators have a hard time getting substitutes, taking off work, traveling. We get that, and we appreciate and we hold that for you. And so we have chosen this weekend, long weekend, so that educators can come to this conference in person. So starting February 18th, that's our pre-con day. We call it our Academy Day. That's on Sunday, February 18th. And then February 19th and 20th is the conference. And I wish I had time to go through and tell you every single person that is speaking, because the lineup would and will blow you away. We have the absolute best of the best speakers at our in-person conference, and we have a virtual conference. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth and tell you about them. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, February 18th through 20th is the in-person conference in Dallas. And then we'll take a break Wednesday. We'll get on our flights, get back home, get in front of our computers so that Thursday and Friday, February 22nd and 23rd will be our virtual conference. So 2 conferences, separate speakers, separate keynotes, so that we could get everything to everybody. And so for those that can't come in person, this virtual conference is a phenomenal opportunity for you to get just as much really powerful information and listening to speakers. And then you have access to those speakers and the sessions for 30 days. So, one is not better than the other. They are equally phenomenal, and hopefully you can go to both, but we understand that that's not always possible. So we offer both options. So going back to the in-person, we have Dr. Ross Green, who will be our opening keynote Monday morning. And then Dr. Lori DeSatels is going to close us out Tuesday afternoon with this really cool concept called a town hall meeting, where we'll gather all together as one big, large group, and she will set the intention of what we're going to do. And then we're going to split up into groups, into teachers, into administration, into like counselors, mental health support, and into community members and other. And then we'll break out into sessions with great leaders of each one. Jim Spore leader will be there leading a group, and so many others, Lori, of course. Then we'll gather back together and talk about what we've learned from our discussions, and then put it all together with what do we do moving forward. Because the thing about this conference is you come, you take it in, you are blown away, and you're on this high and inspired, and then you've got to go back to your building, which for some is exciting, and for others it's scary and it's hard and they get overwhelmed. And we don't want anybody going home feeling alone. We want you to feel supported, that you have made new friends and connections, and you have a plan going forth that you can implement immediately with ongoing resources and support. So that's, you know me, I can go on and on and on, but that's kind of a little bit with the in-person, but I cannot even tell you how excited I am about our virtual, because Stuart Shanker and Susan Hopkins are going to be our keynotes Thursday, and then Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris is our closing keynote Friday. And my heart is just about to leap out of my chest every time I talk about these speakers, and especially our keynotes, because you will not find a better lineup anywhere. I am super biased, but I come by that very honestly because of how hard our team works and how much we are packing into this week that is just a not to be missed conference. So what else do you want to know about the conference?
Well, I mean, I can learn more, but I want to tell them about my experiences too, because I'm going to be honest with you all. Let me tell you, I said this last year on this same podcast when we had Julie from the ATN on here. It's like a family reunion, you all. It is really like just getting around like-minded people. And I will tell you, one of my partner districts, the Chester County Intermediate Unit, I had started working with them last year, saw them at the ATN. They saw me a little bit looser and more outgoing than they normally did, because usually I'm at the school. And it was a great opportunity to connect with them in that space. And matter of fact, they're going to be back this year just as I am. But it's also this opportunity to connect to like-minded people from around the world. And I think that's what we all need, right? And I love the idea of Dr. Lori, which, by the way, she's been on here at least twice, I think 3 times now that I think about it. So check her podcast out. Dr. Ross Green has been on here. Mr. Shanker has not, but maybe we can make that happen. Whoa, and then the fact that Dr. Nadine Burke is speaking, I know Ginger says she's jumping out of her skin, but you all, if you don't know how big this is, she does not speak publicly much anymore after she stepped out of being the Surgeon General of California. She, for her own well-being, she is living by what we say we need to do when it's too much. I know I reached out to her. We actually did a mutual podcast together. We were both guests. It was for a large education organization. And I just reached out and said, hey, if you ever get time. She's like, yeah, I'm not doing much right now. I'm just taking care of myself. So the fact that we get to hear from her, a pioneer in this work, just like Jim Sporleader, so many other people that are pioneers of this work in one space, whether virtual or in person, during 1 week. I mean, it's truly an opportunity that I'll never pass up. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it is life-changing. And I had the opportunity to do a Zoom with Dr. Burke Harris in preparation for the conference. And can I just tell you, she is honestly so excited to speak. She is also jumping out of her skin going, I want to talk about this. I need to talk about this. The work needs to continue forward. How can I help? So it was just an honor to hear that from her, that and I'm not surprised that her heart is still so overflowing with this work, and she's going to give us what we need to keep going, because she and I talked about how we are overwhelmed and we're tired and we love these kids, but we need help. And so, I just can't wait to hear the wisdom she's going to bestow on us.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And let's be honest, Dr. Lori Desautel is one of my favorite people in the world to hear speak. She just is a truth teller. But the thing about Dr. Lori is she's doing the work in a school. It's not that it's theoretical, and she actually, in development, goes into the same school with the same group of students and begins to develop these practices. And you know, I have so much respect for her work, because it is based in neuroscience, but grounded in practice. And anytime we can have those combinations, we have to engage in that. And, you know, that does get me to your book, because, man, Ginger.
I'm going to interrupt you and just say one more thing about the conference.
By all means.
I have the absolute best, most exciting news to share. ATN.
Oh yeah.
The attachment.
Here, let me drum roll.
The Attachment and Trauma Network is able to offer. We have a flash sale so that we can get everybody there that wants to come. So right now, and this is like limited time, you've got to jump on this. Buy one, get one registration. So if you have a friend or a colleague and you want to go together, that's like half price, right? That's going to go through Monday, February 5th. So this is really time limited, and there's only a number of spots that we can fill that with, but this is your chance. And so just email me or the Attachment and Trauma Network if you have any questions. But you want to jump on that, because we have never done that before. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's going to get super awesome
there that has really wanted to come and has not yet been able to. So jump on
I'll
that.
have to mention that to my wife, who is an engineer, who every time I try to talk about neuroscience and stress and trauma, and she's like, maybe I'll be like, you know what, you're going, because we got half price, right? So somebody asked, is that flash sale only for in person?
Thank you for that question. It is only for the in-person. So we have a
Perfect.
really great price for registration on the virtual, and you get the virtual for 30 days afterwards. So
It's huge.
some really great deals going on that you just don't want to pass up on.
And one other thing, or two other things you don't want to pass up on, is coming by to the Trauma Informed Educators Network booth and saying
Yeah.
hello, right? I didn't even listen. I almost passed that up. Listen, I'm going to be there. I've got another colleague that's coming with me. We have. I'm going to have our unapologetic disruptor T-shirts, but I'm getting a new version made. It's unapologetic disruptor for good underneath it, so that when people are like, tell me more, and you don't get stopped in the airport because people feel uncomfortable. But it is. We're going to have 4 good ones. And here's the cool thing. If when you register for the ATN, you put that you heard about it through the Trauma Informed Educators Network, we're going to get your information. I'm going to send you an email about a little time that you can come and get these at a very, very discounted rate. Usually we charge $25. They're going to be like $15. So if you want a T-shirt, come by the booth. I also have some stickers, some Trauma Informed Educators Network stickers. I have some other water bottle stickers you can come and get, and some brochures and all kinds of things. And just come and talk to us about what you're doing. Because again, these conferences are about connection. They're about just joining each other in this work. Matter of fact, last year, Ginger, we had a partner, Blue Jack Kids. She came by the booth and we talked to each other, and she emailed me and said, hey, can you review our platform? We did. And let me tell you, it's an awesome, amazing platform. They're going to be there. Swing by their booth.
I was going to say that Blue Jack will be there. So we are so excited. And you're speaking at a session, but you are also doing what we call a showcase, where you're going to have another kind of mini session, and that's like Monday at 11:20. So there will be lots of opportunities for attendees to interact with you, with me, with everybody there. Like, the networking is it is phenomenal.
It is. And the evening network is even more entertaining and fun. If you see me out, just come say hi. I do enjoy some unprofessional development in the evenings. And I hope that you'll join me too. So you all, ATN, you got to go, right? And where do they register? Go
to attachedtrauma.org, or I think attachedtrauma.org/conference, but you just look up the Attachment and Trauma Network, and it will all come up. And my email is ginger@attachedtrauma.org. And so you can reach me, and I can, help you out with anything as well. So
same here. Reach out to me, and I can send you the link. I can connect you to Ginger, all of that good stuff. So let's get to this amazing tool, because, man, is it applicable? It's all of the things when people say, okay, this is great. So what do I do? Right? All of this, I believe in the science. So what do I do? Well, these are the things that you do, right? So talk us through this book, right? Tell us just, why you chose to write it. And especially, I love that it's regulated and regulation and co-regulation, accessible neuroscience and connection strategies for the classroom and beyond. And then tell us about like the next one. Tell us all about this.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm so proud of this, because it's a love letter from me to educators in getting this information in your hands and getting it really accessible, because I by no means am a neuroscientist, and when I learned everything about how to help kids, I had to have it taught to me in a simplified way, right? And so this is how I'm giving back, is through these 2 books, is breaking down what are the strategies and the tools and the information and content and curriculum that you need as an educator in order to help kids heal their nervous systems. We talk about neuroplasticity and rewiring their brains. And so the first book really gives a lot of foundational concepts in just really bite-sized pieces. I mean, it's a short book. It's a small book. You can read this in a day. You can go back to it. It's really easy. And so it has done very well. And that's why I went for the workbook, was to give even more a deeper dive into strategies, actually giving prompts and scripts and reflections and, walking through, do this in a way that you can also modify it, because you can put it into elementary, you can use it with younger kids, middle kids, older kids. So you're going to want to modify it. And I give you the bandwidth to do that, you know yourself, you know your kids. And so here's the template. Now you modify it to what you need. Small group, large group, kids. I even have a chapter on neurodivergence, and that is also very near and dear to my heart. And so there are a lot of crossover strategies for any situation in the classroom. And then I also have a chapter for crossover strategies for the home, for the community, for teachers themselves. So that's why this second one is called For the Classroom and Beyond, because there's just so much more that can be done in after school programs, anywhere that a child is, and in a safe adult can put these fun activities and practices into play. So pretty proud of that.
And you should be, because you are so right? This work is not about one specific sector. And many of you know, I spent 2 years, almost 2 years, in a role looking at cross-sector collaboration around community healing and community organizing. It is so true. I can see this using in the faith-based community, right? Yes. So let's do some of these strategies to get grounded before we start the lessons. I can see this in community centers, right? I can see this in tutoring organizations. I can see this so far beyond and so far beyond the classroom, because these are tools for co-regulation and regulate. It's a toolbox that this is providing, and it gives the adult the ability, like you said, which is so powerful, right? The ability to make it their own. Take this that I've created and I've published and I've do you, because I think that is so powerful, because in so many spaces and places in this work, people say, but you have to do it this way. And I don't know if you know, Ginger, but I'm an unapologetic disruptor. So I don't like to be told I don't like to be told what to do, right? Yeah. And there is such this feeling of professionalism of like, well, you have to do the script. You have to say it the way it says. There's times, and that's absolutely, as a new teacher, I did that, right? But as I grew, I wanted to make things my own. And even as a principal, I remember reading all of the books, right? I've got Jim Sporleader's The Trauma-Informed School. I've got Building Trauma-Sensitive Schools. I have Joe Brummer's book, which he'll be there presenting as well on Academy Day, Building a Trauma-Informed, Building a Restorative Trauma-Informed School. All of these are tools for the toolbox. And that's exactly what yours is. And to me, the applicable piece of it is so powerful. You don't have to, there's no translation. Like, it's literally like, for example, strategy, right? Like, it's like a secret. I'm going to see what strategy comes up next, right? Strategy. Like, I mean, seriously, I don't even have to look. I just know that I can go in and be like, community care, right? Yeah. School community care or community in general. And then afterwards, here's a care plan, right? This is what we need. And when I say we, I say educators, practitioners, and those of us that are trying to do this on the ground. Yeah. So how did you come up with, where did all because there's some amazing tools in here. How long did it take you to develop? Where did it come from? Like, tell us more background.
I started last summer, so it took about 6 months. It's been working on it about every day for 6 months, but there are some great resources that I pulled from. And so you'll see that in the reference section too, that, I use a lot of work, from people like Lori Desautel's that we know are tried and true and have really done this. And then I've just modified it a lot to, like, I have strategies in there that can be student-led, because that's such an important thing for a lot of students. And so there are things that can be really done by even young students, because once you put things into play repetitiously, and that is predictable and pattern, students can lead those, and that's really fun. So
Well, and this too, this isn't something you see a lot. And it's something that I push back on. You're supporting my pushback. I push back on in this work where we're constantly wanting to talk about what's happening in homes, and their homes are terrible, and the homes of this, the homes are that. Mind you, many schools are using detrimental practices in school, but we don't want to talk about that. But here's what you do, right? You bridge it. You bridge in a productive way of, okay, so let's start sending communication home about, hey, here's some activities that you can do at home that we do at school that might support you. Listen, it's a missing piece that when I was a principal, Ginger, I wish I would have had, because
hear that.
What we're doing as educators in this work is we're breaking some intergenerational experiences just by us doing. We all have to break intergenerational chains sometimes, right? But we can go alongside parents and support, not shame, right? Well, they don't know this, or they yell at their kid, or they use this word in front of their child, or they said this. That doesn't help anything. But when we're saying, hey, we're doing restorative processes at school, here's a letter introducing you to that, and here's something you can try so that we're all kind of speaking the same language.
It's about wrapping that student all the way around with love and support and resources, sending the message, we see you. You are valuable. We are going to do this together. It gives the student the opportunity to come home and say, you know what I learned that we could do together as a family. And I know as a parent, there were so many times that I just was tired. But if I had something in front of me that was like, try this at home tonight, take 5-10 minutes, I would be like, okay. And so everything is very, I don't want to say simple, but simple. It's all because, listen, it all comes back to relationship, not focusing on the behavior, focusing on the relationship. And you can do that in a lot of different ways. Here's an idea. Here's one way to do that. And then what that does is spark other ideas like, oh, really? That's, if we just spend time together, laughing, talking, leaning into some uncomfortable things, whatever it is, that helps. Well, I can do that, and then it just is this domino effect, right?
And because we know that we do what was done to us, right? Whether that's a teacher, sometimes I say that because I've had this experience in the last week. For those of you who do not know, I'm actually back in a school district, working in schools every day here locally, while also continuing to do all of my other things. But this week, I've just really been noticing that here in Tennessee, you can now get a alternative license and be a non-educator. So as long as you have a degree, you can get into the classroom. And I'm watching teachers who do not have formal training doing what was done to them in school because it's the only thing they know what to do, right? So I say that to say I'm not blaming anyone, right? We have a pretty intense. It's a self-inflicted crisis. This is nobody should be shocked that we're having a shortage of teachers. This shouldn't be a shock to anyone, right? But I watch and I think, man, I should just literally buy your 2 books to all of those teachers and say, do me a favor, just go and read this and let's talk later, right? Yeah. Talking to the principals that I work with, because I'm primarily working with principals, let's do a book study on this, because we've got to get to the foundation of why we don't do that anymore, right? And you can't blame educators on some spaces, because even in teacher school, I didn't learn any of this, right? And I know now teacher prep programs, it's still not widely taught. So these resources, this is why it's so important to share these resources, because we have so many opportunities to to do it differently, right?
Yeah.
And that includes with our parents. I didn't do it right. I didn't have these resources when I started. I sure wish I did.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a really good point. If you flip to chapter 10, you'll see that whole chapter is just all about the educator, and that me sending the message, listen, this is hard. Here are 10 things that you can try, or pick one of the 10, because if you're not okay, the kids aren't okay, right? We care about you. We want you to be okay. And I don't want to put one more thing on your plate. And I don't want you to think that I'm shouting self-care. That's not what this is. This is, I'm going to strengthen you and help you strengthen so that you can continue, because that's what we need. We need you there. And we want you there. You are so needed and so valuable.
It's interesting because I stepped out for 2 years, right? And so I was doing in the community organizations or organizing space, and I've come back and it's quickly just become so even more obvious than when I left. This intensity on educators to just press on and push through. And it's just mind-boggling to me, where I walked into, and by the way, I'm in an amazing district that gets this, that talks about this. So it's not that this isn't even discussed. There's long discussions. We have a trauma-informed school department. We have a social and emotional learning health department. We have a restorative department. We have so much going on. But then I walked into a principal's meeting, Ginger, last week for the first time in 2 years. And I could feel the depths of the exhaustion, and I could see it. And here I am, what I referred to my colleagues as 2 years of principal recovery. I got to recover for 2 years with this amount of energy and enthusiasm to just come back in, looking at my colleagues going, you know what that means right now? That means just patting you on the back saying, call me if you need anything. Hey, you know what? If you need somebody, just call me. I'll be there, right? So that's what I see here too in your book, is this is about community, right? This isn't go suffer alone in the closet, crying heaps of tears, which we've all done. This is really about how can we connect to each other, and the byproduct is connected children.
Yes. But I love the word community. It's a verb, right? It's just together and connection. And I'll never be able to say that enough. I'll never stop talking about that and shouting the message of we need each other. You should not be in this work alone. And that's why I love our conference so much, because it just promotes community and belonging, and these relationships that don't need to be face-to-face. We wish we could all be face-to-face, but we can connect and support each other virtually, not just at the conference, absolutely at the conference, but beyond that, because once you go back into the work every day, you have to have something that sustains you. You have to have a friend you can call or text or Marco Polo's and vent and get it out. And then what? Move forward. But you have to have those tools and all of that. So,
or 20 friends that you can text. Ginger and I are on a community text chain where we share constantly. Well, we're all thought partners, and we do a little poking of fun, which in the right space and place is appropriate, right? That to me is my love language. The more that people poke at me, the more I feel seen and heard. So I love that. And let me tell you, last year, you probably don't even know this. Last year, I was sitting in the lobby of the hotel at the ATN conference, and just talking to some people, and James Moffitt was there, and Dr. Gibbs, I think, was there, and there were 2 other people. We just started talking to them. And I have since been connected to that person since I left. Matter of fact, they came to the Trauma Informed Educators Network conference last year, virtual. We have followed each other on Facebook. She reaches out with questions. You all, that's what it's about. And here's the thing. I've learned so much from her. She was a paraprofessional support, and just listening to her true authentic experiences of connecting to kids and just sharing in that space in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's what it's about too, you all, right? It's about going and learning, connecting, unprofessional development, and connecting to friends, right? And that's what I love about, and I'm going to be honest, I have only been at the ATN conference the last 2 or 3 years. Because I don't normally just go to a conference because I want to go to a conference. I normally go because I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, even if I already had my plan, I was coming whether I was speaking or not, which I am speaking, by the way. So if you all are there, come listen to about community, bringing in community. But it really is that amazing where it's worth the ability to do that. And are you going to have your book there?
Yes, I am. We have a really cool bookstore set up at the conference where the speakers' books will be available. So when you hear that speaker speak and you want more information, you can get their book too. I will say the Attachment and Trauma Network, one of the words that I equate with this beautiful nonprofit that I work for is safety. We create a safe place virtually because we do work virtually and at the conference. That's to me why I am a part of them, is they are safe emotionally and physically, and we know this from the neuroscience that once a person feels safe, then that's when everything else can happen. And that is what I tried to create with these books as well, is just this ongoing felt safety that you are not alone. I am here to help you, to support you, to give you resources, to give you knowledge. And there are just so many different ways we can do that. The conference is a way, your podcast is a way, my podcast is a way, the books. It's just seeking that out. I want everybody to find that, to find their connections, to find their people. And that's what you have created here, Matthew. And I feel that the Attachment and Trauma Network does the exact same thing.
Well, here's what I think that I love about our long existence of relationship between Trauma Informed Educators Network, between the ATN, between you and I, between all of our friends, is this is not a competition, right? Like, people are like, what, you're promoting another conference when you put on your own? Yeah, absolutely. You mean you're talking about podcasts on your podcast? Yeah, absolutely. You mean you're writing a book and somebody else has a book and they're talking about the same thing you're going to talk? Yeah. That's what this is about, is that this is about those connections of Jim Sporleader told me very early on when I first met him, man, where were we? I don't even remember. Louisville, Kentucky. He said, Matthew, there's not enough people who have done this work out talking about this work. You have to continue to go and talk about this work. I have shared that with so many people. And here's the thing. I have gone through, just like the rest of you, some imposter syndrome. And then I pause and think, you know what? 7 years of being a principal, trying to do this, and now being back in the district. My goodness, I have experience, and I know it is right. I know what we're doing is right. And I know many of you are out there, you're teaching, or you're a principal, or you're a paraprofessional. Listen, you have the experience. Next year, apply to speak, right?
Yes.
Throw it out there, right? And ATN is an amazing opportunity where you can go feel safe in that space. Yeah. Come and present at the Trauma Informed Educators Network podcast conference. Come. It's how we all begin to move this work, is we all have to be talking about it. And part of talking about it is putting ourselves out there. None of us, I will be the first one to tell you, I am not an expert of all things trauma informed. And I am a parent of a 13-year-old. Sometimes I am not trauma informed. That is just the reality.
That is.
Nobody is perfect. We all don't have everything figured out, but by goodness, we're coming up with some pretty good ideas. Yeah. And we are trying them, and they are having success. And you know what? In 10 years, we may go, what in the world? But I don't believe that.
No.
I believe in 10 years, people are going to be looking back going, man, I can't believe they were talking about that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because you all, as much as we believe that this movement, we're still on the front end of this movement. We are not on the back end of the wave. When you are in states like Tennessee, you realize every day is a fight. to do the right thing for kids in the social and emotional health space. Because if I hear one more time, and we're on the news again, right, for spanking in schools.
Yeah.
There's legislation going through right now about trying to eliminate spanking. The fact that we even have to have a conversation in my state to ban spanking statewide, it's so much work to do. But I encourage you, get out there, come to the conference as a participant. And the next year, tell us come and present, teach us, right? Because we're all in the learner space. So
amen.
We have we just haven't, of course, Ginger, you know this would go by fast, but we have a few minutes left. But I always love to give that last few minutes of, what do you want to know, educators? What do you want them to know from you right now?
Oh, gosh. Why am I going blank? I don't know. That there is help out there. There is resources out there. There is support. You're not alone. And this is such an exciting time. Every week I have new books that are coming out from friends and colleagues and coworkers that are blowing me away. And it's just an exciting time to be a part of this movement. And there is, I know that a lot of educators out there do kind of feel alone, or that they're, crying in the wilderness. And so just know that there is help and hope and support and resources out there. And so reach out. Don't let a minute pass by where you don't, get involved in, your network, Matthew, in mine, in any network that can support you virtually or in person. But there's just a lot of options.
And speaking of other new books that came out, I don't have Jessica's because it's downstairs. I literally opened it. Jessica's going to be presenting at the ATN as well. So her book literally, matter of fact, we may even have copies before they're out. Because
this is launch week for this book, Light Up the Learning Train by Jessica Sinarski. She will be speaking at our conference.
Yes.
She has spoken every year. Her work is phenomenal. This is like one of 10 books, and I'm probably even saying not enough, that Jessica has put out. And her information is so accessible as well. This is what I've noticed from, people like Jessica and Joe and Lori and my work, and that we're all trying to break it down so that it is just accessible and bite-sized, and you can implement it, that you don't have to be an expert. And I'm the first to, admit I don't know what I don't know. And so I just love that we're all learning it together and applying it together, and for the benefit of these kids. It's pretty powerful to see right in front of our eyes the work that's being done and the magic that's happening. There's nothing greater than when I get an email saying, I tried this and it worked. It's like,
It's exciting, right?
It's exciting.
Of course, you probably already know, I'm also co-authoring a book. You can see it if you're live down here underneath me, coming out from Harvard Education Press. It'll be sometime 24, 25. It could be fall, going into winter, spring. We're just kind of in that space. But I will tell you, going through the writing process has been, honestly, I think that's why I ended up back in a school district, because I've been reflecting so deeply the last several months of writing that it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I need to be in a space where I'm able to do this work day to day. And it's been remarkable, right? So when that book comes out, I hope you all will consider it. I don't know if I've ever shown this on here, but I actually got it at the ATN last year.
Oh yeah, I got one of those too.
Yes. So if you all, Capable is who has designed and made this. Yes. If you listen to the podcast, you probably see my fidgety hands all of the time. And the reason you see my fidgety hands is because I keep this in my podcasting space, and I stretch it out, and it's got magnets in it, and it's got super soft material. So it actually puts a little pressure when you try to pull it. It is a great little fidget. that also you can clean your camera with it because it's fuzzy.
Okay.
That's what I did earlier. But if you ever see my hands kind of down here doing this is actually I'm fidgeting with this tool. But this was one of the booths last year at ATN, and as soon as I grabbed it, I go, I gotta have it. I have to have that. And it isn't for a student. It isn't for my child. It's for me. And I actually keep it in my computer case. And when I'm at meetings, I'll put it under the table because I've been accused during IEP meetings of shaking my legs so fiercely that the whole table shakes. So this prevents my leg shaking because, like so many kids, I struggle to sit still, right? Yep. And I'm a grown adult. And I still struggle to sit still sometimes. So,
and you accommodate that rather than punish it. It's not that hard.
No. And you know what? Not sitting still has not impacted my career at all. I've been a teacher. I've been an instructional coach. I've been a principal, been an assistant principal. I've been a community organizer, and now I'm a principal mentor. So all of that. And you know what? I just keep moving. And my leg keeps tapping, and I keep fidgeting. So encourage those kids out there who are the fidgeters, leg shakers, pin clickers. It's going to be all right.
I was the kid that wanted to talk and talk and talk and talk and never stopped talking. And so I get it. There are strengths that we can focus on and accommodate, or we can punish. There's a choice to be made there.
Always, always. And now you get paid to talk. Isn't the irony? I mean, it's irony. To me, it's irony because I used to get in trouble all the time as well. And now I get paid. People pay me to come and talk. It's the craziest thing. And I say all the things that I want to say because that's what I do. But you all, thank you so very much. Ginger, thanks again for being here. It's always a pleasure. Unfortunately, our time always goes so fast, too fast, where I wish it would go a lot slower. Please go into the world and do something absolutely awesome. All right. We are still live with those of you who are on here. Thank you all who came on. Thank you, Seema. You gave us some stars. That's just a little financial love, and I appreciate that. So thank you for doing that. And for Julie for being on here, for Jonathan for always being on here. Jonathan, I appreciate you, my friend from East Tennessee. We're in the good fight here in Tennessee. Jonathan sends me a text about once every couple weeks, just encouraging. Probably, matter of fact, the only person in my life that's ever done that. So, Jonathan, I appreciate those words of encouragement because I know you and I both need those, especially given the fight that we're continuously fighting here in our home state. And for those of you that I couldn't see your name in the future, you can just I forgot to put a link in this morning or this evening because I'm a little rusty. But if you give StreamYard permission, we can see your name. So I can actually shout you out on the podcast. I will not be recording in the next week, I don't think. But in a couple weeks, I will be having a member of a curriculum design team in New Zealand who redesigned their whole social studies curriculum to ensure that the voice of the indigenous Maori people was included while also getting the input from the Maori community about how to truly tell the historical context of the indigenous people of New Zealand and how they completely rewrote social studies to include the voice. That, to me, is profound and the opposite of what my state is attempting to do. So I'm really excited to welcome her on the podcast as we talk about her journey of doing the rights of equity when the wrongs were never spoken about. So hopefully you get to join us. That's, I think, on the 19th of February. I think I will actually be at the ATN, and I'll probably do it from my hotel room. So I may be in a hotel room. Who knows? We'll see. If I may need to reschedule that, but we'll see.
You
Coming
might.
from New Zealand, it'll be hard. But anyway, thank you all so very much for being with Ginger and I tonight, and I will see you when we see you. Awesome. Somebody said they're registering for the virtual conference. We'll see you virtually. All righty.